week, and he's going to be fuming when he finds out where that one all started.
Yeah, I thought we made it through turn 1 and 2, but clearly we got to turn 3 and then we had chaos. So Kim Jane making a bit of contact, but look at Jesse Dixon. He's been floating around the front bunch. Oh, Hansford on the inside.
And Cedars very nearly into the tyres. He got away with that one. It was a late move. Cedars can't afford to be conservative this weekend. He needs to get some points back on Chris Walton, who's sitting behind his teammate in the multi-spares ute. And the battle is on at the moment between Dixon and Harris. Your leaders into the final corner. Harris getting a very nice run out of the Castrol Edge hairpin as the McMahon Mining ute, after that full rebuild this week, is struggling to even make it back out, and they're going to park that thing.
He's going to park that at the top of the circuit there. So Jesse Dixon, great to see him on pole. He's been floating around the front group this year. He's been just nipping at the tail of the front runners, but to actually get pole position at a circuit like this, what a great result. Roll Harris there now putting the pressure on him. So we saw obviously the great battle for the last couple of rounds of these front runners, and now it's the same guys at the front again. The cream rises to the top.
Down towards turn 4, where we saw the lap 1 accident. There's Adam Marjoram in front of Reece McNally. A couple of West Aussies fighting for that one as Kim Jane comes into the pits, and he was involved with that nasty accident down in turn 4, and I think he'll have damage to the right front. We can see the damage to the right front because he got hooked up quite badly in that one.
So probably a bit of steering damage there, which around this sort of circuit, it's very nervous driving around here with bent steering and a car that doesn't control very well. But Chris Walton there, he was watching Ryan Hansford.
On the outside at 11.
This will be big.
Well, it's usually the walls that are ripping mirrors off, but these guys are going to take it into their own hands. Jesse Dixon will have the line down here at 12, and the all-purpose pest control ute goes around the outside. Fantastic move from Ryle Harris, new leader.
Clearly a better run out of the back chicane. He's gone down the outside there. That is brave stuff, I can tell you. Once you get off the camber and out in the dirty stuff, you run out of grip real quick. He's pulled it off. He's gone around the outside for the race lead.
That was impressive. Jesse Dixon now has to lower his eyes, try and chase Ryle back down. Ryle, who lives on the Gold Coast. Jesse, born and raised on the Gold Coast, has now moved down to Melbourne as part of the Image Racing and also part of Erebus. That's right, the Erebus Mercedes, which we see Will Davison and also Lee Holdsworth race, while that whole development program feeds down towards the utes. Let's decipher what happened down here at turn 4. Bugs, what do you reckon?
Oh, I think Kim was a little bit rude there. He probably could have been a bit more patient and found a way to get through there without contact, but there's Kim Jane, you can see on board.
You don't reckon he caught one from behind?
Oh, I think he's probably just gone down the inside.
Yeah.
Contact.
Oh.
So there's where the steering damage has come, and no doubt he's just limped the car around to get back to the pits.
So Harris out in front, driving for Matt Stone Racing. Matt Stone, who comes from a fairly famous family with the Stone brothers, and even these guys are racing with a bit of a heavy heart this week, and Matt Stone lost one of his best friends earlier this week on the Gold Coast. And Jesse Dixon, he lost his dad 10 years ago this weekend, so fair bit of emotion at the front of the field, and the leaders are actually brawling so much that the rest of the field have really caught up to them, and all of a sudden we've got something like 7 or 8 utes fighting for the lead. Castrol Edge hairpin once again, the multi-spares utes having a killer year so far. Ryan Hansford edging around the podium all season long.
And Jesse Dixon there, he's the only Commodore in this front-running bunch, so he's doing a very good job. Nathan Pretty, I think, is the next Commodore on the circuit. But to be up there battling with these Fords, and he's doing a great job. He only got pole position, mind you, by about 1/10.5, so it was quite close. And when you consider the curbs and the braking and the tyres and all the action around this circuit, he's got that 1/10.5 over Roll Harris. But as we saw, Roll Harris, he's found a way through. He's now got the lead, but he's just not getting away, is he?
They're all piling up behind them. There is the GoPro Be a Hero ute of Nathan Pretty on the back of this one. Also George Miedeke in the middle of this pack. There is with the Wake Up Warren Millett ute in the middle of all this. Roll Harris trying to shake off the tail that he's got following him around through the chicane once again. That's where it all came wrong last year with Cedars into the fence. And also Marjoram and McNally sideways at 9. Very nearly eats the wall at 10, got away with it.
It's such a challenge, that back chicane. You've really got to get the car rotated early at the right part of the very first curb. If you don't get it right at the first curb, it carries right through down to the last curb, and that's where you see the guys run wide. So that all starts around the first rotation, the first left. If you bounce it off the wrong way, it carries right down to the fence on the exit.
Handy work so far from Craig Dontis off the back row. He's found his way up to 15th at the moment. trying to get himself inside the invert for the reverse grid race. Here he is, riding on board with the Thirsty Camel number 22 right now. To find your way around 15 utes around this track is a very good effort, although there was a couple of cars involved with that lap 1 shunt, but either way, he's picking his way through the field, and we don't know what the reverse grid order is going to be. It's a complete random draw, a marble draw later, which the winner of this race will get to pick.
See the cars hitting the ground there. Kim Jane back out on circuit, so they're about to lap him, put another lap on Kim Jane, but oh, we've got a bit of contact there. Cedars, he's got to be careful. He can't afford to get this wrong. He can't afford to have a mistake and get a penalty, because Chris Walton, he's just hanging around the back of Hansford there. He knows he doesn't have to do anything silly. He's just got to be smart. And Cedars is the one that's got to do all the hunting. He's got to do the passing. He's got to make it all happen.
So Kim James made his way back out of the pits, and here he comes right in front of this massive lead pack with championship combatants in there, guys looking for their first win on the Gold Coast as well, and Ryle Harris at the front, who's won plenty on the Gold Coast. Actually won a race back in 2005 here, the same year that Al Simonson, the late Al Simonson, won a race on the Utes here as well. And then he had the clean sweep only a couple of years ago. Also a winner in this second race here last year. Probably would have won the third race, which eventually got red flagged here last year. Okay, here's the replay of the start. Yokohama replay of Craig Domtis. That's almost like Jamie Whincup at Bathurst.
Well, obviously with the Australian flag up there, they couldn't see the lights. It would have been a challenge to try and the guys at the back there to get a clean start. But they use the Australian flag, something we haven't seen for a long time. Clearly a bit of a problem with the lights there that they'll have fixed soon. So he may have been able to see it better than the guys in front of him. Speaking
of problems with the lights, remember the year we had the big storm wash over? We actually ran a ute race under the street lights of Surfers Paradise. It was on TV as well. So all the boys had their headlights on, running under the street lights. It's not quite Singapore Grand Prix style with the hundreds and thousands of lights that they have around that circuit.
It's a great thing about racing here on the Gold Coast. You have such a great history, and we've got a big accident.
Crash for Phil Woodbury. The front end of that car spraying coolant, and no, Wilson ×2 involved in this one. Ben Wilson and Cam Wilson facing the wrong way at the turn 1 chicane. Nasty damage to Cam. Can you believe it? After this track bit him so hard last year, he now has a race win and a couple of torn up race cars from this track. And our Rookie of the Year leader, Phil Woodbury, is going absolutely nowhere. Let's figure out what happened here. So Ben goes in first. Bang! Woodbury nowhere to go. Cam Wilson nowhere to go. And these guys arrive on the scene with nasty contact. A bit reminiscent of a Glenn Seaton accident that happened on that corner a few years ago.
Yeah, you can see once that... Oh, crash. That's a big accident, isn't it? Once that car bounces back out, and obviously we've got the safety car out during this period, but whilst that car bounces back out into the line of traffic, Woodbury, he's tried to stay on the racing line, and obviously that car's just bounced right back in front of him. Innocent bystander there for Woodbury, but fairly big accident. That's a lot of damage to those cars.
Just locks up the fronts, understeers straight ahead. Jeremy Gray, who was involved in yesterday's crash, even looking at him as he sails off towards the fence. Bang! Ben Wilson goes in, and watch how hard Phil Woodbury goes into this. Absolutely no time to adjust. He's already on the curbs. He's committed. And the boy from Lithgow has a crunching head-on impact. Oh, you can see his helmet move forward. This kind of accident makes you thankful for Hans Devices.
Absolutely, and then Wilson really had nowhere to go as well. So he's picked for the softer option, which is clearly the tyres, and bounced back out as well. But look at the damage to the front of Woodbury's car there. How disappointing. He's doing such a great job this year. Rookie of the Year, he's leading those points, and it's unfortunate to come to the Gold Coast and have something like that happen.
That is a graphic shot of how it can all go so wrong. Phil Woodbury raced in the Dunlop Series, had his first debut in a V8 supercar at Ipswich early this year. GT3 Cup Challenge racer who's made the step up into the Utes.
So, Chad, there's a lot of debris on that circuit as well. So not only have we got to get these cars out of the way, there's bits of glass, plastic, all over the circuit. So that's really going to hurt the tyres. We've got a bit more action here.
Now, this is on the same lap before the safety car came out on the back stretch. Oh! Just goes to show you how quickly you can get it wrong around the streets of Surfers Paradise.
That's what we talked about earlier there. You get that first curb wrong, and it carries it right through to the point where the car bounces, and then it's just hold on into the fence.
It's Colin Bradley going into the fence where we've seen a few cars. Greg Murphy had a big one there last year when he got together with Paul Dumbrell. No room for error on the streets of Surfers Paradise. The Petters SRT safety car picks up the field. Ryle Harris is the leader. And this race is going to be finished under caution. There's a bit of IndyCar in that as well, isn't there?
Well, look, I mean, obviously a situation here on the Gold Coast, that's going to take a long time to clean up. So I've got no doubt they're probably going to cut this race short. You know, there's obviously time schedules got to meet to make all this work, but it's been a great battle. It's been a great race. Royal Harris made that move, and around the outside, Chad, I can't believe that was big stuff. Be able to get Jesse Dixon. Jesse thought he probably had it all covered, but there goes Royal Harris around the outside and made it all happen. So, but you know, it saved it for them from a championship point of view. Cedars, he's just up in front of Chris Walton, so he's got some points back. But as they come across the finish line this time, we believe they're going to get the checkered flag. So that's going to end it. Royal Harris will have another win here on the Gold Coast. There it is. So race cut short. Royal Harris, winner of race 1.
Yeah, I'll see you back there. Thanks, mate.
9 years after his first win on the streets of Surfers Paradise, he'll crawl home for another one. He did the whitewash a few years back. Can he do it again this year? Royal Harris takes the first race. It's the V8 Utes, fueled by Hog's Breath Cafe. Jesse Dixon doing a good job to be in second, and we'll wait and see how many we do reverse when we go into the reverse grid race. And the good news there is that Cedars makes back a couple of points. There's a lot to go today. The top 10 shootout is coming up. All 5 manufacturers for the first time in a top 10 shootout. That is going to be special. How about this race? Bathurst, 8 hours long. Was it the greatest race ever? We'll be discussing that one shortly. And then we go racing for 102 laps of this bruising street circuit. Race number 31 of the championship is coming up here on the Gold Coast.